The surrender that changed everything. Captain Jasper Quinn hadn't expected to find anything alive on Deimos Station. The Moon Outpost had gone silent 3 days ago, another casualty in humanity's desperate war against the Valkyrie Dominion. Yet as he picked his way through the wreckage, his helmet lights cutting through the darkness, he sensed movement in the shadows. "Command, this is Quinn. I've got potential contact in Sector 7, he whispered into his comm, adjusting the grip on his pulse rifle. The static that answered told him the base's signal jammers were still operational. He was on his own. The emergency lights flickered weakly overhead as Quinn advanced through the corridor. Ice crystals had formed where atmosphere had vented into space, giving the destruction an eerie, glittering beauty. His exosuit sensors detected a heat signature ahead, too controlled to be residual system energy, too precise to be random. The attack came without warning. A shadow detached itself from the ceiling, dropping silently behind him. Quinn spun, barely raising his rifle in time to block the downward slash of an energy blade that would have split his helmet in two. The impact sent him staggering backward as his attacker landed in a perfect crouch. She rose slowly, deliberately, her armor unlike anything in the Valkyrie military database. Sleek, almost organic in appearance, it shifted colors to match the surroundings. Four glowing violet eyes studied him from a featureless helmet. In one hand she held an energy blade that hummed with destructive potential, in the other a compact weapon Quinn didn't recognize. "Human," she said, her voice translated through some unseen mechanism. "You fight well for prey." Quinn took the moment to steady himself. "Funny, I was about to say the same about you." She tilted her head, the gesture somehow conveying amusement. "I am Keldra Blade, commander of the Valkyrie Ninth Claw. This station now belongs to the Dominion. Captain Jasper Quinn, Earth Defense Force, and I think you'll find possession is still in dispute." Keldra moved with frightening speed, her blade arcing toward Quinn's chest. He fired 3 quick bursts from his rifle, but she twisted in midair, evading each shot with inhuman grace. Quinn rolled to avoid her blade, feeling the heat as it passed inches from his face. The confined space of the station worked against both of them. Quinn's ranged advantage was negated by the narrow corridors, while Keldra's acrobatic fighting style was limited by the low ceilings. They clashed again and again, a deadly dance through the ruined outpost. Quinn managed to land a glancing shot on Keldra's shoulder, the energy pulse briefly disrupting her armor's camouflage. She hissed in pain but pressed her attack with renewed fury, driving Quinn back toward the station's central hub. As they burst into the larger chamber, Quinn saw his opportunity. He triggered the emergency protocols on his wrist computer, and the remaining functional gravity generators in the hub shut down. In the sudden weightlessness, Keldra's momentum carried her forward while Quinn anchored himself with magnetic boots. The Valkyrie warrior tumbled past him, unable to correct her trajectory. Quinn fired again, catching her squarely in the back. Her armor sparked and she crashed into the far wall, her weapons spinning away in the zero-G environment. Quinn approached cautiously, rifle trained on his fallen opponent. Keldra rolled over slowly, her helmet retracting to reveal a face both alien and startlingly humanoid. Blue-tinged skin stretched over sharp cheekbones, those 4 violet eyes blinking up at him with an expression he couldn't read. A network of bioluminescent markings pulsed across her temples. "Finish it," she said, her voice no longer filtered through translation. Her natural speech had a musical quality that caught Quinn off guard. He kept his rifle steady. "Why were you here alone? Where's the rest of your unit?" Keldra's lips curved in what might have been a smile. "Dead, or retreated. I volunteered to ensure the station's research did not fall into human hands." "Then you failed," Quinn said, glancing at the destroyed data banks around them. "Perhaps," Keldra's eyes narrowed, "or perhaps I succeeded beyond expectation." Quinn's finger tightened on the trigger. Protocol was clear: no prisoners, no exceptions. The Valkyrie showed no mercy to human captives. Why should he be different? "Spare me, human," Keldra said suddenly, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "Grant me life and I will pledge my loyalty to you." Quinn almost laughed. "Loyalty to your enemy." "To the victor," she corrected. "In Valkyrie tradition, one who defeats a blade commander earns the right to their service. I offer mine freely." "And why would I trust that?" "Because I have seen how you fight," Keldra replied. "With precision, not cruelty, with purpose, not hatred. The Dominion told us humans were savage beasts, but you," she paused, "you showed restraint when you could have killed me 3 times." Quinn knew he should pull the trigger. This could be a trick, a ploy to get him to lower his guard. Yet something in those alien eyes held him back. "If you're playing me," he said slowly, "I'll make you regret it." "I do not play games with my honor, Captain Quinn's." After a long moment, Quinn lowered his rifle slightly. "Can you walk?" Keldra nodded, pushing herself up with a wince of pain. "Your shot damaged my neural interface, but my body is functional." Quinn reactivated the gravity, causing them both to settle to the floor. "My shuttles in hangar see you try anything, anything at all, and I finish what we started. Clear." "Crystal," Keldra said, using the human idiom with perfect inflection. The journey to the hangar was tense. Quinn kept Keldra in front of him, his rifle trained on her back. She moved with deliberate slowness, hands visible at all times. When they reached the shuttle, he secured her with magnetic restraints before initiating the launch sequence. As they cleared the station's docking clamps, Keldra spoke again. "The others will not understand your decision." Quinn didn't look up from the controls. "Neither do I, to be honest." "Then why spare me?" He finally turned to face her. "Maybe I'm tired of this war. Maybe I'm curious about what a Valkyrie commander knows. Or maybe I'm just making a terrible mistake." Keldra's markings pulsed softly. "Not a mistake, a beginning." The shuttle broke orbit, heading toward the EDF carrier Phoenix waiting at the edge of the system. Quinn activated the comms, dreading the conversation ahead. "Phoenix, this is Quinn. Mission accomplished at Deimos. Station is secure." He paused, glancing at his alien prisoner. "And I'm bringing in a guest." The response was immediate and incredulous. "Quinn, did you say guest? Please clarify." "A Valkyrie commander, captured not killed." Before the protest could begin, he continued, "She has intelligence on Dominion operations, and she surrendered formally." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, the carrier's captain responded, "Docking Bay 4, security team will meet you, Quinn. This better not blow up in our faces." "That makes two of us," he muttered, cutting the transmission. Keldra watched him with those unnervingly perceptive eyes. "Your people will want to dissect me, learn my biology, my technology." "Probably," Quinn admitted, "but that's not going to happen." "You cannot guarantee that." "Actually, I can." He turned to face her fully. "By the terms of your surrender, you pledged loyalty to me, not to the Earth Defense Force. That means you're my responsibility." For the first time, Keldra looked genuinely surprised. "You would honor Valkyrie tradition." "I'm honoring basic decency," Quinn corrected her. "But if it helps you sleep at night, sure, let's call it tradition." As the Phoenix grew larger in the view screen, Quinn couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just changed the course of the war. For better or worse remained to be seen. The alien warrior sat silently beside him, her presence both a threat and a promise of something new. Neither of them could have imagined what waited for them beyond the stars. A danger far greater than their people's conflict, one that would soon force enemies to become allies. Enemies become allies. The holding cell aboard the Phoenix wasn't designed for comfort, but Captain Quinn had ensured Keldra received better treatment than standard protocols dictated for enemy combatants. Instead of the usual sensory deprivation measures, she had limited access to non-classified ship data and regular meals adapted to her physiology. Still, the crew's hostility was palpable. Guards watched her with thinly veiled hatred, and whispers followed Quinn through the corridors. Only Lieutenant Naomi Wells, the ship's xenobiologist, showed genuine interest beyond security concerns. "Her cellular regeneration is remarkable," Wells explained during one briefing, displaying scan results on the holodable. "And those bioluminescent markings aren't decorative, they're a secondary nervous system." Admiral Harrison, commanding the Phoenix, remained unconvinced. "Fascinating, and how does this help us win the war?" "It might not," Quinn admitted, "but understanding our enemy is the first step to ending this conflict." "Or the first step to extinction," Harrison countered. "The Valkyrie have glassed 3 colony worlds, Quinn. They don't want peace." 3 weeks into Keldra's captivity, the situation changed dramatically. Quinn was awakened by the ship's alarm at 300 hours, the emergency lights bathing his quarters in poolsing red. "Captain Quinn to the bridge," came the urgent announcement. "Priority Alpha." When he arrived, Admiral Harrison was already there, his face grim. "Our long-range sensors picked up something unusual. Show him, Lieutenant." The main viewscreen displayed what appeared to be a star, but its light pulsed in an unnaturally regular pattern. Data scrolled alongside the image, numbers that made little sense to Quinn. What am I looking at? That's Proxima Centauri, Harrison said. Or it was. Something's happening to it, energy fluctuations, radiation spikes unlike anything we've recorded. Wells stepped forward. It's like the star is being used, manipulated somehow. Quinn studied the readings. Could it be Valkyrie technology? That's what I wanted to ask your guest, Harrison said. This isn't in any Valkyrie tactical database we've captured. 20 minutes later, Keldra stood on the bridge, restraints loosened enough to allow her to examine the sensor data. Her markings pulsed rapidly as she absorbed the information. This is not Valkyrie, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. This is something far older, the architects. The what? Harrison demanded. Keldra's 4 eyes never left the screen. Before my species achieved spaceflight, before yours had discovered fire, there was an empire that spanned the galaxy. They did not build ships as we understand them, they reshaped stars and planets to their will. That's impossible, Wells protested. Not impossible, Keldra replied. Simply beyond your current understanding of physics. The architects were masters of gravitational manipulation and stellar engineering. Quinn moved closer to the display, and you're saying they're back. They never truly left. Keldra's markings flashed in what Quinn had learned to recognize as anxiety. Our oldest records speak of a war between factions of the architects. The losing side was not destroyed but imprisoned inside stars. Harrison scoffed. Inside stars, you expect us to believe that? Whether you believe it changes nothing, Keldra said sharply. The pattern you're seeing is a containment failure, something is emerging. Before anyone could respond, the sensor officer called out, energy spike, massive displacement occurring. On the view screen, the star seemed to ripple, its surface bulging grotesquely before tearing open. Something emerged from the rupture, a vast structure of impossible angles and shifting geometry, blacker than the void around it yet somehow gleaming with internal light. Full defensive protocols, Harrison ordered, weapons hot. Wait, Quinn interjected. It hasn't made any hostile moves yet. Captain, Keldra said urgently, you must leave this system immediately. That construct is awakening after millions of years of imprisonment. It will be disoriented, hungry. As if responding to her words, the construct unfurled appendages that defied Euclidean geometry, reaching outward in all directions. One tendril of darkness stretched toward the Phoenix, covering the distance faster than should have been possible. Evasive maneuvers, Harrison shouted. The Phoenix banked hard, but the tendril adjusted course with impossible precision. When it touched the hull, alarms blared throughout the ship. Systems failed in cascading sequence, weapons, shields, propulsion. It's draining our power, the engineering officer reported, all systems dropping to critical levels. Quinn turned to Keldra, how do we fight this thing? You cannot, she replied, not with your technology. Then with what? Keldra hesitated, then touched the neural interface embedded in her neck. With this, my people adapted architect technology we discovered in ancient ruins. Our neural interfaces are based on their designs. You're suggesting we use Valkyrie technology against an ancient alien god? Harrison asked incredulously. I'm suggesting I might be able to communicate with it, Keldra corrected. Reason with it, perhaps. The bridge lights flickered and died, emergency power barely keeping life support functional. The tendril had now completely enveloped the ship, and the main construct was moving closer, its impossible geometry causing physical discomfort in anyone who looked directly at it. Do it, Quinn decided. What do you need? Access to your ship's communication array, and Keldra looked at him steadily. Trust. Harrison began to protest, but Quinn cut him off. We're out of options, Admiral, unless you've got a backup plan for fighting extra-dimensional star-dwelling entities. Under Keldra's direction, the Phoenix's communication array was reconfigured to channel the unique frequency of her neural interface. The process took precious minutes as the ship's systems continued to fail around them. Power reserves at 12%, reported the engineering officer. Life support failing in sections 7 through 19. Keldra stood before the modified array, her restraints now completely removed. Her markings pulsed in complex patterns as she placed her hands on the interface. If this fails, she said quietly to Quinn, know that my pledge of loyalty was genuine. Quinn nodded, I believe you. Keldra closed her eyes, and her markings flared with intense light. The ship's remaining power fluctuated wildly as the modified array activated, sending a signal unlike anything human technology had ever produced. For long moments, nothing happened. Then the tendril wrapped around the Phoenix pulsed once, twice, and slowly began to withdraw. The main construct paused its approach, parts of its impossible geometry shifting and realigning. It's working, Wells whispered. Keldra's face contorted with strain, blood trickling from her nose as she maintained the connection. It is. Ancient, angry, confused, it believes it's still at war. Can you convince it otherwise? Quinn asked. I'm trying, she gasped. It wants proof the war is over. The construct rippled again, a section of it reconfiguring into something that almost resembled a face, if faces could exist in 4 dimensions compressed into 3. Suddenly, Keldra collapsed. Quinn caught her before she hit the floor, her markings dim and erratic. What happened? Harrison demanded. Keldra's eyes fluttered open. It's seen enough to be curious. It wants to communicate directly. With who? With both of us, she said, looking at Quinn. A human and a Valkyrie working together. It sees this as evidence. Quinn helped her to her feet. Evidence of what? That the galaxy has changed. That cooperation is possible. Keldra's markings stabilized. The Architects' War was fought because one faction believed in preserving lesser species, while the other saw them only as resources to be harvested. We are living proof that the preservationists were right. The tendril reconnected with the ship, but instead of draining power, it seemed to be scanning. The construct moved closer, its impossible geometry somehow less disturbing now, as if it were deliberately restructuring itself to be more comprehensible to human perception. It's giving us a chance, Keldra said, wonder in her voice. A choice. Quinn stood beside her, facing the ancient entity. What choice? To prove that different species can truly coexist, that we are worth preserving. She looked at him. The very thing you proved by sparing me. Harrison stepped forward, and if we fail this test. Then it resumes the war, Keldra said simply, starting with us. A new signal pulsed through the ship's systems, flowing through the modified array. Symbols appeared on the view screen, not Valkyrie, not human, but something entirely different. It's offering knowledge, Keldra translated. Technologies and understandings beyond either of our civilizations, a gift, and a responsibility. Quinn looked at Harrison, then at the rest of the bridge crew. Humans who had been fighting the Valkyrie for years, who had lost friends and family to the war. Then at Keldra, an enemy who had become something else, perhaps the first step toward something better. Tell it we accept, Quinn said finally, and that will need its help to convince others. As Keldra relayed the message, the construct began to change again, its geometry settling into a form that human minds could better comprehend, a vast ship of crystalline darkness, beautiful in its alien complexity. The tendril connecting to the Phoenix pulsed with energy, but this time, instead of draining the ship's systems, it restored them. Power levels surged, damaged sections began self-repairing. It's helping us, Wells said in disbelief. No, Keldra corrected, it's teaching us. Quinn watched as new data streamed into the ship's computers, star charts, technical specifications, historical records spanning millions of years. The war between our peoples, he said quietly to Keldra, it seems small now. Not small, she replied. It brought us here to this moment, perhaps that was always its purpose. As the Phoenix's systems came fully back online, Admiral Harrison ordered a message sent to Earth Command. They're not going to believe this, he muttered. No, Quinn agreed, watching as Keldra interfaced with the architect construct, her markings synchronizing with its pulses of energy. But they'll have to adapt, we all will. The ancient entity from the star had given them both a gift and a challenge, to prove that different species could overcome their conflicts and work together. The war that had seemed so important just days ago now appeared as merely the first chapter in a much larger story. Quinn didn't know if humanity and the Valkyrie could truly set aside generations of bloodshed. But watching Keldra work alongside his crew, communicating with an intelligence older than their civilizations combined, he allowed himself to hope. The surrender that had changed everything had led to an alliance that might save everything.